Starting with the sample assessment material 2 paper, the scenario goes as that Selvi Mooten is the manager of IGCSE, and this is the scenario, these are the company details, and this is the house style that has to be followed for company documents. Okay, so please do go through this. It's important to know the scenario so that you will know how to deal with certain questions that may come on later on. So we are at the moment dealing only with the Excel questions. So in this particular paper, SAM2 paper, the Excel question goes on to say that this company has offices worldwide and each office employs staff in the same job roles on the same contracts. The spreadsheet wages contains July's payment details for staff from one office. It has 2 worksheets. So inside this spreadsheet called wages, which you should be having in your folder, there are 2 worksheets. One is called payments and one is called details. So some of the functions will require you to use both worksheets. Okay, so getting started off with the first question, it goes on to say open the spreadsheet wages and then open the worksheet payment. So we open wages and then we go on to open the worksheet payment. So let's get this, wait for this to open. Yes, and once you open with that, make sure you open with the payments worksheet. So we have that open here. Question goes on to say enter task B1, your name, candidate number, and sender number in the header area. So we immediately come into insert and then we go into text and we come to header and footer. Make sure you're in the header, and in the header we are going to be typing what would we be typing? We'll be typing task B1, name, candidate number, and center number. Okay, task B1, name, candidate number, and the center number. Okay, and then it goes on to say enter an automatic date in the footer. So we can just go to footer, and I think a date has already been inserted, but let me just show you how to insert the automatic date. Inside the header and footer tab itself, we have something called end current date. Just click on that and this would be visible, which means the current date would be displayed over here. So then just click on the blank cell and then come back to normal view. Right now we are in page layout view. Let's come back into normal view. Okay, and then scroll up to see your data. Then the question goes on to say insert a row at the top of the payments worksheet, merge cells A1 to O1. Okay, so we insert a new row above this, right click, insert entire row. We are supposed to merge from A1 to O1. So I go all the way up to O and then come to the home tab and click on merge and center. And then over here what I'll be typing is next question goes on to say insert the heading staff payments dash July. So let's type it over here. Double click staff payments dash July. That's done as well. And then it goes on to say the font size should be 24, color should be white, and cell shading should be dark gray. So this is supposed to be made 24, and cell shading is supposed to be dark gray, and the font color, sorry, the cell shading. So I'm going to undo this, Control Z. Cell shading is supposed to be dark gray, and the font is supposed to be white. That's done. The next question goes on to say task B1B. Selvi wants to use spreadsheet tools to analyze the data. He used the spreadsheet functions to display the hourly rate and contracted monthly hours. Okay, 2 things to be done here. First, find the hourly rate and then find contracted monthly hours. So over here, the hourly rate is supposed to come. And if you go and check in the details worksheet, according to the pay grade, the hourly rate pay has been defined. Okay, so if the pay grade is 1, they get 20 pounds. If it's 2, they get 15 pounds. Okay, so this particular information, depending on the pay grade, is supposed to automatically appear over here. So since we'll be taking information from another worksheet, we will be using a function known as VLOOKUP. Okay, so it's here right at the top for me. If it does not appear for you, what you can do is you can always type it over here and click on the go button. Okay, and then just double click on this VLOOKUP. Okay, and the first question they ask you is lookup value. Lookup value means what is the value you are checking. Okay, so go on to say that this is the value I am checking. Okay, then it goes on to ask you a question, table A. Table A means where are your answers kept. Okay, so you go on to say my answers are inside this particular worksheet, inside this particular range. Okay, now please do remember something. When you replicate your formula, this particular range is also going to keep changing. As you keep replicating your formula, this address will also change. So we do not want this particular address to change. We want this address to be fixed. So what we do is we use something which we call absolute cell reference. You can press F4, or else you can just press the place a dollar symbol before the letter and a dollar symbol before the number. Same for B5 as well. Okay, a dollar symbol before B, a dollar symbol before 5. This is what we call absolute cell reference. We do this so that when we replicate the formula, the address of this range will not change. Then the question goes on to the third question that comes up is column index number, which means in which column. Now we have selected two columns over here. In which of the columns is, from these two columns, which column has the answer? Okay, so it is obviously the second column which is having our answer. So we type 2 over there, and for the moment we just keep this completely blank. Range lookup will be kept completely blank, and click on OK. So you can see for pay grade 1 the hourly rate is 20. Just replicate it for the others as well. Okay, just do a double check. Just check is 3 is the pay grade for 312. Yes, 3 is 12. Just do one more. For example, is 410. Yes, 4 is 10. So it has worked out. Then you're supposed to find the contracted monthly hours. You can see over here the contracted monthly hours over here. Depending on the pay grade, their contracted monthly hours have also been mentioned. So once again, we're going to be using VLOOKUP. Insert function, go for VLOOKUP. The value that we are looking up is the pay grade. Our answers are inside this particular worksheet, inside this particular range. Okay, and please do keep in mind we have to lock this. We have to use absolute cell reference. You can press the function key F4, or you can simply put a dollar before the letter A, the dollar before the number, and also for the second one, dollar before the letter, dollar before the number. And then do not forget to mention which column has the answers. It is column number 3. So put column number 3 has the answers, and for the moment we are going to be keeping this blank. Click on OK, and then replicate it for the others just to make sure it's working. It is working, so let's do a random check. Let's see for pay grade number 3, is it 80 pounds? Yes, pay grade number 3 is 80 pounds. And for example, pay grade number 4, is it 120? It is 120. Okay. Then the next question goes on to say calculate the total hours per month. So I'm supposed to be, calculate the total hours per month. So that's over here, bit of a confusing paper. So the person has worked in week 1 so many hours, week 2 so many hours, week 3 so many hours, and in week 4 so many hours. Over here they want us to display the total hours that the person has worked for the month. So very simple, sum function would be enough for this. Equals sum, open brackets, select your range from here to here, close brackets, and press enter. So now the total sum of hours worked have been calculated. Do not forget to replicate it to the other cells as well. Then the next question goes as calculate the overtime pay. Okay, so over here the overtime pay is supposed to come. Just for you to understand better, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first find the overtime hours worked. So then it will be easier for us to understand how the overtime pay is being calculated. So you can see the person is supposed to work 160 hours for a month. That's what his contract says. He has been contracted to work for 160 hours a month. But he has ended up working 165, which means he has done overtime. So how do we check it? Equal, he has worked 165 while he is supposed to be working 160. So we simply subtract the two values. It tells us that this person has worked 5 hours extra. So let's replicate the formula for the others as well. And it shows certain employees have not done any overtime hours, while some have done quite a lot. For example, this particular employee has done 15 extra hours of work. So now when it comes to calculating the overtime pay, if you refer to the details worksheet, it shows you that the overtime rate is 1.5, okay, which means this 1.5 has to be multiplied by how much they are supposed to be paid every hour. So for example, if you look over here, the person is, let me zoom out a little bit. the person is supposed to be earning £20 an hour, but if he works overtime, for each hour he is paid 1.5 times whatever he's supposed to be paid every hour. Okay, so we come into overtime pay and we say equal the number of hours he has worked multiplied by how much he is paid every hour times 1.5. Okay, so he ends up getting an overtime pay of £150. Okay, let's replicate it for the others as well. Okay, so this 1.5 value, I got it from the details worksheet from over here. Then moving on to the next question, which is the overtime pay we have calculated right now, and then moving on to enter formula to calculate the contracted pay per month. Okay, so how much is the person supposed to be earning for a month? So for a month he's supposed to work for 160 hours. He's earning £20 each hour. So per month he will be receiving an amount of 160 hours multiplied by £20 for each hour, which means for the month he's going to be earning 3,200 contracted pay per month. Okay, so let's replicate this formula for the others as well. Then the question goes on to say calculate the overtime hours worked, which we already did over here. We calculated how many hours he has worked extra. We simply took the total hours per month that he has worked minus how much he is supposed to be working. It shows us how many hours overtime he has worked. Moving on to the next question, it says calculate the gross pay. So the gross pay means how much is he supposed to be receiving. So very simply what we do is we take how much he's supposed to earn per month plus his overtime pay. Okay, so very simply equal how much he's supposed to be paid per month plus how much he gets from overtime pay. So you can see at the end he earns, this particular person earns £3,350. Let's replicate it for the others as well. Okay, this is how much they'll be getting, they should be paid at the end of the month. Okay, next question goes on to say calculate the tax to be deducted. So each of them, before their salary is given to them, there will be a small amount deducted due to tax. So in this details worksheet, you can see that the taxed amount is 20%. So from their salary, 20% will be deducted in order to be given for tax. Okay, so what we do over here is we simply say equal the, what you're going to find here is you're going to find the tax amount. Okay, how much of tax this person is going to be having to pay. So we take 20% multiplied by the gross pay. Okay, so it tells that this particular employee will have to pay £670 in tax. Okay, that is 20% of his gross pay. Let's replicate this for the others as well. It's done over here. And then the next question goes on to say calculate his net pay. Net pay means finally how much is he going to receive. So he's supposed to be receiving 3,350. Then he's supposed to be paying £670 for tax. So at the end, what he's going to get is this value minus this value. Okay, so this is his net pay. This is how much he's going to be getting at the end. This particular employee is going to be receiving at the end. Okay, after tax has been deducted from his salary. So let's replicate this for the others as well. Formula has been replicated. Then the question goes on to say replicate all formulas, something which we already did. Then the next question goes on to say task B1C, format a work payments worksheet so that currency values show the currency symbols with 2 decimal places. So what I'm going to do is all the columns which have currency values, I'm going to put currency symbols for them. So for example, hourly rate is a currency value. Contracted pay per month is also a currency value. So if I'm going to select these values, I'm going to be pressing the control key. Press the control key and select these values. These are not currency values. These are not currency values. This is a currency value. And these 3 are also currency values. So I'm going to be selecting all of them. Coming over here and saying make them all pound. And you can see automatically they're already having 2 decimal places. You can see after decimal point 2 digits are available. In your laptop, if it is showing more than 2 or if it is showing less than 2, you can always adjust it from over here. You can increase from here and you can decrease from over here. Okay, so I want it to be 2 places. I'm going to increase it once more. It's now on 2 decimal places. Then the question paper goes on to say headings are wrapped to use the space efficiently. Okay, so wrap basically means, now look, I can make this column small, I can make it this size, okay, but the text is not visible, so I can use something called wrap text, which will send the text into multiple lines inside one column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all these columns and I'm going to go with one particular size. I'm going to go with a size 6. So all of them have become 6, and I'm going to make, I think 6 is too small, let me make it 8. 8 looks better, and I'm going to make all of them wrap text. Okay, so you can see 8 also seems a bit too small. Let's go with 10. That's better. So you can see the text has gone into just slightly bit bigger, so D will also fit there. Contracted can be one word. Okay, that looks much better. So this is what we call wrap text. Okay, your text goes into multiple lines inside one cell. Then moving on, all data should be visible. All data is visible. Just make sure all the data is visible. Nothing is hidden inside the columns. And then even this particular column can be made a bit more smaller. And I can say wrap text. Okay, that looks better. And then it goes on to say the spreadsheet displays row and column headers and the page header and footer when printed. So when going to print, even these headers A, B, C, D, E, F, and these 1, 2, 3, 4 should be visible when the printout is being taken. So in order for that to be visible, what you need to do is you need to come to page layout and you need to say headings print. Make sure that this particular box is ticked. Okay, so that when you go to print, this A, B, C, D, and 1, 2, 3 will also be visible. Then it goes on to say save the spreadsheet as task B1. Very, very simply, file, save as. Make sure you save it in the same SAM2 folder. Okay, browse. I'm in that folder already, so I'm just going to be saving it as task B1. Click on save. That's done. And then the question goes on to say print the payment worksheet in landscape showing the functions and formula on 2 sides of A4. So we are not, right now we are in data view where we just see the data, but they want us to print you showing the formula and showing the functions. So what we got to do is we got to come to the formula tab and click on show formulas. So now once you click that, you can see the formulas become visible. Okay, and you have to make sure that the columns are wide enough to show the complete formula. So what I'm going to do is instead of adjusting each column, I'm just going to come and click on this button and then just double click on one of the columns. They will automatically all auto fit. Okay, so now you can see the formulas are completely visible. And also do remember when you're printing, it's supposed to be fitting 2 sides of A4. So let's select our data and let's check is it fitting 2 A4 papers. Control P, and it's going on to 3 A4 papers. So I'll just do one simple trick, which is I'll make my margins narrow, and let's see if that makes a difference. No, it's still in 3 pages. So then what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to make certain columns smaller. So columns like this, I'm going to bring it back to its normal size. Come to the home tab, come to format, column width. Let's bring this back to size 10. That's better, not very much. Let's go back to size 8. That looks better. And okay, let's check and see, is it fitting 3 pages now? Shift select and come down to Control P. Nope, it's still going into 3 pages, as you can see over here. So which means I'll have to make the columns even more smaller. So I'm going to make these 4 columns even more, sorry, these 5 columns I'm going to make them even more small. I think I can even go for this, sorry. Let me select these 5 first, and column width, right now it is 8, let's make it 6. These 2, I'm going to make it smaller as well. Column width, let's make it size 8. I think we can go some more small, let's make it 6. Okay, so let's check, is it fitting 2 A4 papers again? Let's come and select our data over here, Control P, and yeah, yeah, this time it's fitting 2 A4 papers. As you can see, it's only 2 A4 papers. Okay, so we are good to go for printing. Okay, so once you're done with printing, okay, print the payment worksheet in landscape showing the values on 2 sides of A4. Oh, I'm sorry, you're supposed to be taking one copy with the functions, and you're supposed to be taking one showing the values. So when you go to show the values, you can come to formula view and switch off show formulas. Once again, the columns have become way too small now. So once again, click on this, double click on this, they all automatically fit. And then you can take a printout of this as well, showing your values. Make sure it is fitting to A4 papers only. Once you're done with that, the next question goes on to say, Selvi is negotiating a new contract for pay grade 2 employees. Filter the payment worksheet to show pay grade 2 employees only. Okay, so first what we're supposed to do is, here we have the pay grade of we have employees of various pay grades. We are supposed to only show pay grade 2 employees. So what we can do is we can put a filter here and hide what we do not want displayed. Come to sort and filter, and we come to filter over here, and then we click this button, and then we say we do not want everybody, we want only the pay grade 2 employees, and click on OK. And so we have the pay grade 2 employees over here, and what we will be doing over here is